Hello and welcome to chemistry. My name is Meredith Schonifer. I'm going to be your students' teacher this year. We have a lot of fun things in store for them to learn about in chemistry, lots of experiments, lots of hands-on activities. So let's get started. I have a slideshow for you. It'll introduce myself a little bit more and then we'll dive into what the curriculum is going to look like for the year. All right, so again, welcome to MYP CP Chemistry here at Notre Dame Academy. My name is Meredith Schonifer. This is my second year teaching at Notre Dame Academy. I also teach besides chemistry, forensic science for the 11th and 12th graders, the IB Environmental Systems and Societies, the Standard Environmental Systems and Societies, and geometry. I'm also the IB CAS coordinator, which is the Creativity, Activity, and Service portion of the DP diploma for IB. I'm a University of Florida graduate. I got my Bachelor of Science in Plant Pathology, which is why I love science and earth science or environmental science so much. I can tell you how your plant is dying and tell you how to fix it. The sad thing is that I cannot keep my own house plants alive. So I don't know where the disconnect is there. I compete competitively in the hunter jumper equestrian discipline. I have since I was 12. I did all through high school and I rode for the University of Florida equestrian team. I have two daughters, 16 and 12. They're both very active in Taekwondo. My oldest is a second degree black belt and my baby is a first degree. They both play lacrosse and my 16-year-old plays basketball as well. All right, so let's talk about curriculum and what to expect as we go throughout the year. So chemistry, this particular chemistry course is an entry-level chemistry course. It's going to give the students a foundation of what chemistry is like. This is a very hands-on course, so a lot of experimentation, a lot of presentations, a lot of weighing, a lot of measuring, and the expectation is that all students will be proficient in laboratory procedures, investigations, and experimentation. As we move through course content, they'll investigate real-life examples of science applications, and they will discover relationships and dependencies between science and morality, ethics and culture, economics, politics, and a little bit of the environment. So some of the units that we will do throughout the year, we've already covered successful practices in chemistry. We are getting ready to move into matter and energy. Then we'll cover atoms and the periodic table, properties and chemical bonding, chemical reactions and stoichiometry, states of matter, solutions, acids and bases, always fun to get to those experiments, and kinetic molecular theory and thermochemistry. So half of those will be done in the fall and then the other half in the spring. So we have a lot to cover. So some science aims and goals. These are aims and goals throughout the science department. What we wish for the students to walk away with is an increased understanding and appreciation of the way the natural world works. We want them to really develop critical thinking. It's really necessary in science because science is such a fluid, ever-moving discipline. We want them to think critically, think outside the box. Don't take what's put in front of them as written in stone. We want to help them build interpersonal and communication skills. This will be very relevant when they start to do labs together and they're working with partners, being able to collaborate and make sure that they get to their end goal for that particular project. Establish patterns of self-evaluation and reflection, so help them learn where their strengths and weaknesses are in this particular class and to advocate for themselves when they are struggling in a particular area. We would like to create a foundation for higher level science courses. So as I said earlier, chemistry, this particular course is a foundation. So it's a building block for them to take higher level chemistry courses where they get really involved, where it's organic chemistry or chemical-based chemistry. It also leads to a foundation for physics, forensic science, biology, all those higher level science courses. And we want to develop creative, courageous, and curious lifelong learners. That's the greatest thing about science, is that because things are always changing and you can find new ways to do your experiments or your labs, it encourages them to be curious and then create new ways. And it also encourages them to be courageous, to take that step, to take that risk, to change something, to make it better. So some assessment highlights that we address in this course. We have formative assessments and we have summatives. So formatives are 20% of your student's grade. This is a majority of their work. This is where you're going to see things like homework, in-class assignments, and quizzes. These really allow the students to take some risks and make errors and identify where they need to work a little bit harder, where they need to set goals to accomplish, and reflect on their learning. The summatives are 80% of the students' grades. That's the heavier weighted side. There are fewer of them. So this is where the evidence of a student's mastery in that particular subject or that particular that subject area or that unit that we're studying in that period. These assessments allow our students to demonstrate how much they've mastered in that particular task. And these are done through tests, through labs and lab reports, projects, and sometimes presentations. So since this is an MYP course, they're going to get two types of grades. They're going to get the MYP grade, and they're going to get their standard percentage grade. And there's a scale that correlates and converts MYP grades to percentage grades, and that's in ManageBac. So MYP criterion, so things that we grade them on, not always, not every project, not every summative is going to hit these criterion, but throughout the course of the year, they will hit at least these criterion at least once, sometimes twice. So we have criterion A, which is knowing and understanding, criterion B, which is inquiring and designing, that's more based for labs, processing and evaluation, and reflecting on the impacts of science. So the impacts of science part on the reflection, that usually ends up being like a term paper where we give them a subject and they reflect on what kind of impact that either experiment or that discovery had on science. So some things that I expect from my students, I expect them to come prepared, I expect them to be positive, and I expect them to be responsible. So when I say prepared, I mean they arrive punctually, they have what they need for class, and they have completed the assignment that is due that day and it's turned in on time. Positive, I want them to come to class ready to learn, excited to learn. Positive attitudes breed other positive attitudes. This means treating each other with respect, working with your classmates in a positive way, and participating in class discussions and activities. I think students get the most out of a class time when they're participants and they discuss and they're actively involved in discussions. And then a student who's responsible. Using your time wisely. So if you're given time in the classroom to do research or to work on a project or to finish up a lab, use that time wisely. Use it to your advantage. Don't squander it away. Follow rules and directions, especially being in the lab. We have chemicals and things, we need to be very careful and cognizant of, and seek extra help when needed. Be proactive when you feel like you need help. So some course materials, things that I need them to be prepared with and to bring to class every time. Definitely the laptop, charged and ready to go, not dead and useless. Headphones, if they're going to be listening to a video or doing research, and the research, makes, whatever they're looking at on the line for that research, just so we keep the noise down in the classroom. Paper, notebooks, binder, pen and pencil. Colored pencils are helpful. We do have some in the lab here, but extras are always helpful. Highlighters, and definitely a scientific calculator. So that's what to expect for the chemistry course this semester. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you guys ever have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm available anytime. I will email you back as soon as I possibly can. Thank you for joining, and take care.